Hey, welcome back to Female Founders Collective and to my YouTube channel. So today I want to be talking about all things TAM. So how to calculate your startup's TAM the right way. Now, a lot of people, early founders, find it actually quite confusing. And so there's a really simple formula to work it up from the bottom up and not the top down. And the top down essentially is saying, right, there's this huge market there. And if I just took a tiny slice, then that is my TAM. So we're going to deep dive into that today. And a little bit about me before we get started. I've been in business for it's actually 17 plus years. I started in marketing and advertising, set my own ad tech startup, got angel investment twice, and now I support female founders who are launching, scaling, or getting investment. So this is often a topic that comes up around how to calculate your TAM. And the first mistake is saying, I'm going to just take a tiny slice or 1%, 5% of this huge market. And that's a real trap. So if I just capture 1% of this 100 billion pound market, I'm going to be rich. And that's my TAM. No, it's not, because it's actually the top down approach. It's lazy and it really ignores the real demand. So what you actually need is this bottoms up approach. And what bottom ups mean is that you look specifically at who your target customers are. So for example, if it's freelance graphic designers in the UK who spend £50 a month on tools, that's your target audience. So first of all, you have to figure out how many of them exist. And you can look on Statista, do some census research, look at LinkedIn filters, look at industry reports, and then use that data to compile who your potential target audience is. And then you need to find out how much they'll pay for your product, for what you're building. And the best way of doing that is actually to survey them, to give them a questionnaire, to build your, I like to share my approach to sort of building an alpha testing group or your first panel of users. And then when you've got them, that's when you can nurture the relationship. You can give them questionnaires and get their actual feedback, and they can help you to define a lot of the data that you need in creating a solid business, but also in fundraising. So don't ask, don't guess, ask them. And so step one would be to count your actual customers. So for example, with this SaaS tool that are targeting female freelancers, say if they're if you're selling a £50 reoccurring revenue product, how many of those females actually exist in the market? So if you find, based on the industry reports and Statista and the census data, that there's only, or there is 500,000 for your target audience, then you need to say, okay, from that 500,000, how many of those freelance female designers out there would actually potentially buy your product? So let's just say 10% for easy math. So that's 50,000 customers. Then we say, okay, step two. So you take your 50,000 customers and you times that by the month. So 50,000 customers times by 12 months equals 600,000 customers per year paying £50. Or you could do it the other way and you say we've got 50,000 customers, they're paying £50 a month, and times the £50 by 12 for the month. So you have a £30 million TAM. That's your real number. It's not the 1% of 100 billion. Another mistake is confusing the problem size with your market size. So, for example, the US spends 200 billion annually on childcare, but is that your market? No, that's the size of the problem. So your market, again, is the customers who are going to pay you, and then your customers per year. So for example, if you're selling a £15 a month childcare hire app, then that's £180 a year. So first of all, you have to break down how many parents use childcare. Let's say it's 2 million. How many of those 2 million would actually use your app? So let's just say 20%. So that's 400,000. And then to work out your TAM, you take your customers, the ones that would use your app, 400K, and then times that by the amount that you would make per year, £180, and that equals 72 million. That's your TAM. So you see the difference? The market is what you can actually capture. And then another mistake is borrowing somebody else's market, and this can be when your business is associated with another one. So let's say you invent an attachment for Lululemon's leggings, and then you see that their revenue is 8 billion, and you say that's my TAM. Well, no, that's their revenue, and it doesn't equal your revenue. So again, we kind of have to break that down slightly differently. You look at how many pairs of leggings are sold each year, let's say 10 million, and what percentage of those Lululemon legging buyers would actually buy your accessory. So let's say 5%. So then we work out 10 million times 5%. That equals 500,000 units. And then we say your accessory is £20. So that gives you a £10 million TAM. So that's your realistic target. So this is the exact TAM formula that you can use. So it's TAM equals the number of customers times your price. So you need to be precise here. So look at exactly who your customers are and do the research. So who will be paying? If it's UK female solo entrepreneurs with say 10 plus employees, find that data, do the research, and then price. Have you surveyed 100 customers? Have they said that they're willing to pay £30 a month? And then make sure you narrow it to the specific geography that you're targeting. So for example, 100,000 target customers paying £30 a month over 12 months equals 36 million TAM. It's always important to know your sources and to make sure that you've done your research so that you can rely on your TAM and know that it's airtight. So this really proves that you know your customer, you've done the work, and you're fundable. So ditch the 1% or the 5% slice and use this formula with your own research and your own data. So I hope you found that helpful. Just as a recap to what we've got going on in our Female Founders Collective, I'm working one-on-one and one-to-many in daily life support calls to help other female founders to launch, to scale, and to get funding. So there's so much that to learn, and there's so many things that are really repeatable. So just touching on some of the things that we are dealing with. If you're interested, feel free to click the link. I'll tag it below, and there'll be a couple of links. I'll give you one link that is actually to the group that we have, and then also if you're interested, there will be a link to book a 15-minute discovery call with me. If you think that you may be suitable but you're not 100% sure, then you can book that link and have a quick chat with me, and I will let you know if you're the type of business or type of founder that I can support. So I look forward to hearing from you soon. You take care. Bye.